shit on the Wrexham side of the bridge if you're from Bangor, or you know, shit on Swansea side of the bridge. It's like it does. Everyone's fair game.
Over recent years, Wales has been the breeding ground to some of the most exciting new artists around, with the likes of Alpha, Boy Azuga, Adwaith, Buzzard 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 and Gweno. It's fair to say there really hasn't been a dull moment. My goal is to find out just how influential the media have been in terms of helping create this newly vibrant music scene. To do this, I'll be speaking with Cian Ciaran, John Rostron, Elis Roberts and Dion Jones. But firstly, we need to take it back to where it all began. The land of song. Historically it's been associated with folk music, choral performances, religious music and brass bands. But as we start this documentary back in the 1960s, we soon realised that things didn't look too great for Wales when it came to the music industry. England had the likes of the Beatles, Rolling Stones and The Who, while Wales had old-fashioned crooners such as Tom Jones, Shirley Bassey and Mary Hopkin. A decade or two later, and Scotland and Northern Ireland had woken to the call of punk, post-punk and indie rock, with the likes of the Skids and the Moondogs, whilst Wales continued to look backwards with the likes of rock revivalist Shakin' Stevens. There was the alarm, however these were seen as a contrived facsimile of the kind of anthemic music The Clash, the Skids and U2 had already established. By the mid-1990s, Wales had been largely excluded from the discussion about British rock, written off as unproductive, uninspiring and unreceptive to any exciting developments unfolding elsewhere. Even the few artists that did originate from Wales, such as John Cale, were regarded less as Welsh musicians and more just musicians who just so happened to come from Wales. Something clearly needs to change, and this is where Welsh music turned a corner and never looked back. A cultural movement was started, centred around music, independent film and other artistic endeavours by young Welsh figures prior to and during the new millennium. England at the time was obsessed with Britpop, with Blur and Oasis dominating, but a distinctively Welsh culture would grow to compete. This would come in the form of the Super Furry Animals, Manic Street Preachers, Catatonia and Stereophonics. These artists would be the ones waving the flag for Welsh music, being the driving force to this cultural movement. It wasn't long though before the English media responded to the insurgent Welsh scene, firstly attempted to subsume it into their own Britpop movement, then in 1999 the BBC coined the movement as Cool Cymru, which was mostly used as a second-hand media slogan. Later on, the English press weighed in with headline puns such as "Don't leak back in anger," proving that the English media saw this movement as some kind of joke. It's fair to say that Welsh artists at the time weren't too amused by this.
When we started, it was a lot of piss taking, backwards redneck Welsh, and then all of a sudden I think bands started to make an impression and people literally, excuse the pun, like they stood up and listened, and that happened quite quickly, that turnaround. Like they used to take the piss out of Welsh before, I'm trying to think of headlines, Coleman, Shin, sheep shagging, boyo, blah blah blah. And then when we started singing in English, the Welsh media would go, traitors, you've let us down, that kind. So it was like where actually you were still singing in Welsh and taking the Welsh language around the world, introducing it to people. And people were like, fuck, I didn't even realise people still, you've got your own language? What the heck, And then you end up going to Japan and they're singing back to you in Welsh and stuff. So far from turning your back on the language, it was like, when we did the Welsh language album, Welsh language only album, the headline was Commercial Suicide. But for us, it was as natural to sing in both languages. I would recommend people exploring different languages when they come to writing music or lyrics, because it opens up different syllables and different patterns and different noises and different words, so yeah, why not? I think media still has a role to play in giving credibility to some publications or sites or whatever, still hold some kudos or weight. So if they say this is a good band and this is a good video or whatever, check it out, then that you, as a band or an individual, and you can build on that, you know, and sort of validates your efforts maybe, I don't know. Personally, it was against all this Union Jack waving Britpop. We sort of wanted to react against that, almost like start a band as a reaction against it, you know. And then to be pictured, for one, to be lumped in with the Britpop and then Cool Cymru on top, it was just frustration in that sense. But I think people just caught up with Wales rather than, you know, like I said, people still to this day don't recognise or realise rather Welsh language is still spoken. You just think of it as a region of England maybe, or I don't know. I suppose we're not very good at making a song and dance about what we do. Yeah, we do it for the love, not the fame, maybe.
So, no matter what your view on the Cool Cymru movement is, you can't deny the fact that the new artists benefited greatly from the infrastructure that those previous artists had established. The year 2000 saw Cardiff provide aspiring artists with a network of recording studios, rehearsal spaces, record labels, venues and management. The decade before offered little more than a university campus to perform gigs at, and Spillers Records, which is subsequently the oldest record shop in the world. In fact, in 2010, Cardiff was labelled Music City due to it having the second highest number of independent music venues in the whole of the UK, beating the birthplace of the Fab Four and Oasis. To ensure that the industry continued to grow, the BBC launched a second Welsh language radio channel with Radio Cymru 2, and relocated the BBC Wales headquarters building into the Cardiff city centre, this being the new base for BBC Radio Wales and BBC Radio Cymru. So what does this mean for today's music scene throughout Wales, and what role are the media playing?
You know, like Radio Cymru, right? Which is, but that's not a station for Wales, that's a station for the Welsh language, right? Radio 1 is a station that's about pop music, it's not about language, it's not our English language, right? So there's a kind of weird juxtaposition. And I find all that dynamic interesting, and I feel that, I don't know, the people that control those kind of frameworks haven't yet thought about how they're really going to break it through. So you end up with these little siloed Radio Cymru or S4C, but they only serve, right, a particular audience. But then, so what you have breaking through out of that is things that are more representative of what people are like. And the media channels that do that, the media channels that work more like people work and represent like the sights and sounds that we hear. So there's places where you can go and you might hear a show in Welsh, then a show in English, and then a show where the people are chatting between languages, playing records from wherever. But the point is they're acting more like they would act at home. Those kind of media is the ones I think are really exciting. I think there was a key point a few years ago where on Six Music they playlisted the Gwenot track. It was the first time a Welsh language track had ever been playlisted on national radio, right? And that was in 2016 or 17. Yeah. And it's like, wow, right? That's taken such a long time to get there. And it's, but those are landmark moments that are happening because Six Music was deemed a place, well actually we can do that. The gatekeepers decided that they could do it, and it has 1 million listeners. You know, and I think that's really positive, because it was like when I was growing up there was like Manchester and Cool Cymru and probably other things that were very about the area, and I don't know if that happens anymore, and whether has that gone because the media have gone, oh, we're not, that's rubbish. If you don't have a media that's full of people from Wales, right, like sitting in newsrooms correcting them about, actually that's lazy, actually that's not taking a stand, you know, your voice doesn't get heard. Wales is only 3 million people with a population of 70 plus, so, you know, we can't all go mass to England and try and just keep tapping people on the shoulder. So we keep seeing these things happen again and again and again and again. We get it all the time, don't we? We get it in political decisions about whether we're going to electrify a train line or not. We get it in the lazy headlines about leak and sheep. You know, we continue to get it, and I don't know how you have to. It's a fight that will never end, right?
Rob, what's the difference between a Carlisle surprise, a reverse Canterbury pleasure, and a sheep tied to a lamppost in Cardiff?
Now, this is another example of the institutionalised racism which is accepted when it's directed towards the Welsh, as it has been done. Is this a reference to the joke about what is a sheep tied to a lamppost in Cardiff? It's a leisure centre. No.
What was your third question?
Pointless, which is the most pointless.
Was pointless. Well, people tell me...
just said Welsh.
Welsh?
Wales may not lack in the criticism and mockery it receives, but because of its brief history to openness and broad influences, Wales still lacks a defining sound or genre, meaning the country remains a scene of many scenes. Artists have learnt to adopt and to adapt, to fuse and transform pre-existing styles and create their own, leading to some of the most exciting new pieces of music in years. The biggest dilemma that some artists face today in the Welsh music scene is when they have a choice between Welsh language and English language music. To understand this better, I spoke to Elis Roberts.
Bands now don't create music in order to make a living out of it. So, like I say, that sort of frees them from the shackles of money making, if you like. It's they're doing what they love to do, and that creates a really exciting scene. I think it's incredibly important for S4C to have programmes like Ochoryn and Loop, where Welsh bands have a platform to perform and to record live sessions and to reach audiences. Welsh music industry, if you like. And yeah, some people might say that S4C shouldn't have to sustain the Welsh music scene, and I don't think they do, and I don't think they have done. But I think they do have a duty to at least support the music scene and become a factor in developing the music scene in Wales. So by having these programmes and by having these platforms, it is an opportunity for Welsh bands to perform, to record, and to gain experience in performing and recording in a sort of professional environment. And I think that's a really important experience for them to progress as a band or an artist.
One band that Elis Roberts has previously worked with, and one mentioned many times throughout this film, has been the rock duo Alpha. The Welsh band are one of many who at some point have to consider what language to deliver their music in. After the single Gwen Wyn became the first Welsh language track to hit 1 million streams on Spotify, it became clear the potential was being discovered. The single now sits at over 3 million streams, with another 2 tracks both smashing the 1 million mark. To reflect, I sat down with Dion Jones.
Yeah, so I'm Dion Jones. I play guitar and lead vocal for Alpha. Yeah, from my perspective, it's so easy to listen to music now. Even though I love Spotify, I hate it in different ways, as in with the money thing. But yeah, no, Spotify's amazing for yeah. You can get influenced by loads of different crazy stuff. So I can imagine that's why there's so many different influences thrown about in Wales. Yeah, we got loads of support, fair play. I think that BBC Wales thing was crazy because like they were just pushing it all week, and that was like a massive. It's weird with Wales because it's like there's an exciting scene, but there's only as far as you can go with it. That's the problem, really. Next, now we're writing new stuff, and it's going to be all in English. We've just kind of reached a point where we really want to make a living out of it. A lot of people were like, yeah, because we've done like 4 English songs now, and yeah, I know people are like speaking about it, saying like, oh, why are they doing this and stuff like that. They don't see the big picture, and then yeah, it's weird. You get like, yeah, we've had to battle like from the start really with stuff like that because we always knew we wanted to do English music. Yeah, if we write an English song, it's just whatever happens, really.
So, the Welsh language side of our music scene may still have room for improvement, but it seems to be in one of the most promising positions in years. It's no doubt that the media have played a crucial role in getting us to where we are today. With this in mind, I asked what was the most influential moment in the history of the relationship between Welsh music and the media was, but everyone seemed to have one thing in mind.
Well, there's a good one in Super Furries, isn't there? I don't know if you've heard about them driving onto the Eisteddfod field in a tank.
We took a Reading, I think, festival, Beetle Bash, Eisteddfod, 3 or 4, I can't remember. Those photos were cool, you know. It was hard for me to be objective, like. Somehow it came up in conversation. Well, we could do another poster campaign on London, which costed £5,000. Or we can buy a tank, and then we can sell it back at the end of the summer for £8,000, so it costed £2,000 basically. And a tank, obviously, because people still talking about it 25 years later. No one remembers a poster campaign.
We've travelled from the top of Wales to the bottom, spoken to everyone from musicians to producers, and it's very much become clear that the media always have and always will play a crucial role in the music industry. It's definitely been a long time coming, but it looks like Wales have finally got their foot in the door of the music scene, and it's here to stay.
For as long as I can remember, it's been struggle and worry every day. It's been a long time coming. I said it's been such a long time coming, but good things are gonna come my way. I work so hard and I put in all my hours just to make myself a few dollars every day. Oh, it's been such a long time coming. Baby, it's been such a long time coming. But good things are gonna come my way. Never met a girl who would love me. I spent so many lonely nights. But then one day, girl, you came along, and every little thing is gonna be alright. I try so hard to make you feel so happy. I'm gonna do any little thing to make you stay, to make you sing. Oh, baby, it's been such a long time coming. I never thought it would come, but it's been such a long time coming. That good things, oh, let me tell you that these good little things, baby, good things are gonna come my way. Whoa, baby, these good little things are gonna come